On tonight's episode, we're going to talk about getting ready for the first race day of the indoor season.
Yes, and we've got some more drag car stuff.
Stay tuned. Welcome to the Ultra RC Hobbies show and the Ultra RC Hobbies channel on YouTube. We do some crazy wicked stuff every Friday at 7 p.m., including building drag cars,
Yes.
doing racing stuff,
Showing running videos.
and really just talking about this awesome RC hobby.
Yeah.
So you should follow us on our YouTube channel, obviously. 7 o'clock every Friday we drop a new video, but we also do a Facebook Live video every Thursday at about 6 to 6:30. So head on over there, click that like button on Facebook, and follow along on Thursdays as well. Welcome.
Welcome.
Episode number
87.
87. That's
We
great.
86 the last one.
Yeah, we did 86 the last one. Good
Doug
memory.
commented.
Yeah.
He said that it was getting fired.
Every time he's ever
And,
heard
I think
86.
I think
fired.
that's kind
He
of
got
how I
canned.
remembered it, yeah.
He got canned. So yeah, there you go. More you know. You don't just watch the Ultra RC Hobby show to learn more about RCs. No, real life experiences here. Real life. But anyway.
Oh boy.
He's Chris,
That is Aaron.
and we're here. We're live on the internet world. Doing
So what are we talking
videos.
about today, Aaron?
Well, we're going to talk about
You got your indoor season coming up.
exactly. We're going to talk
Answer the
about
question.
things that we do to get ready for the indoor season and things
Yeah.
that you should be doing before Sunday. Sunday is the first race, October 27th. So I hope A, to see you
That's
there,
this weekend, folks.
and B, get your cars dang well ready to go race and stuff.
Don't just pull it out of the closet on Saturday.
And be like,
charge
oh, I
the
need
batteries
parts.
and go, hey, it's good to go.
So we're going to talk about some things that I would look at, and we're going to talk about some car stuff that we should maybe change and look at for getting your car ready for the 2019-2020 SK Off-Road indoor season. So item number one, this is something that gets
Differentials.
overlooked all the time.
Shocks.
Diffs.
So
100%
I'm just
diffs.
going to start listing everything.
Especially if you have a two-wheel drive buggy, a
Yeah.
two-wheel drive short course, or anything that uses a
Yeah.
ball diff.
And that oil sits for a long time, right?
And it leaks out.
Yeah, exactly.
So ball
and it gets
diffs.
old after a full season of racing, right? It's not as viscous as it was before.
Exactly. Now the car's not going to handle the same. So ball diffs. Check your ball diff. The easiest way to check your ball diff would be, this is obviously not going to have a ball diff, but be grabbing one tire and spin the other one. Is it chunky?
Mhm.
Like, does it feel notchy? Like,
Maybe needs new balls and new
yep,
plates.
probably time for new balls and
Yeah.
plates and a re-grease. Even if it feels smooth, it's probably time to re-grease the balls and the diff balls and the diff plates, because that lube is actually going to turn into a paste over time as well and give you different friction. So that's something to check out. As
So
Chris
make it very
said,
choppy when you're steering.
exactly. It's going to
Right.
give you an uneven amount of either forward bite, depending on how tight you have your center diff or your slipper clutch and your ball diff, or it's going to give you some odd amount of side bite. Like one time you'll have a lot of side bite going in the
Next
corner.
time you won't, because
Yeah, next time
the
you're
dip
sliding.
isn't slipping as it should be.
Exactly. And as he said, maybe you should look at your shocks.
Mhm.
Shock oil will leak out, and that's normally when you see on your shock at the bottom of the shock body or the bottom of the retainer cup for the spring, there's a lot of grease or dirt buildup
Oh yeah.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time to do new O-rings. Maybe
Yeah.
it's time just to pick up some Team Associated green slime
Yeah.
and rebuild those
Yeah.
shocks.
Oil wears down.
Exactly.
It doesn't be as bouncy as it once before.
Yeah, and it's just like engine oil. It will degrade, and it will, as he said, get less viscous
Yep.
over time. The next thing that I did on my car this year, maybe it's time for a new bearing kit.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you go ceramics?
You can.
Yeah,
I mean,
but you
it's
didn't.
definitely
It's
a
expensive.
big cost. On my
Yeah.
8 scale stuff, I do.
Yeah.
So there's also options, like Chris said, ceramic. So ceramic ball bearings are going to give you a more free drivetrain. They're going to have less resistance in them, and normally they do tend to stand up and last a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So the physical balls inside of the inner race and the outer race, instead of them being a steel, they're actually going to be a ceramic material that will stay around for longer. So the goal with that is going to have less resistance because it has less friction
Yes.
plate to plate and inside the cage, and it definitely just lasts longer. Downside is cost.
Yeah. And bashing.
Yeah,
Don't put them in a basher. They don't take side load very well.
correct. You can break the
break
balls
the
or the
ceramic
cage.
balls. Yeah.
Yep. So that's definitely one thing. And I know when I went through my B61 from last year, the couple front axle bearings, when you rolled the tire, they rolled free. When you took them out, they had a lot of play this way. So the easiest way to check if a bearing's good or not isn't just rolling it. Like, you can roll it and it might seem really good,
Yeah.
but if you grab
Side
the inner race and give it a wiggle this way, does it have play?
Mm-hmm.
Does it cause a lot of resistance when you do that? Yes. So maybe it's time for some new front axle bearings. And I mean, on a two-wheel drive, it makes all the difference.
Yes.
Because you don't want, say, your left
You don't want any drag in those front tires at all, because that's going to mess up the car when you're trying to turn or anything.
Well, it's exactly it. So, for example, if you're taking a right turn, the inner wheel has more drag than the outer wheel. It's going to want to, and it's going to want to pivot a little bit more on the right front. But now, if that's your outer wheel, that car is going to want to push, and it's going to want to slide. So that's definitely something to check out as well. Have you checked your car for being square?
The drag car bearings are good.
Yeah, I re-oiled them. So.
Good job.
Have you checked your car for being square? Have you checked the camber, the toe, stuff like that? Is it the same amount of steering, left to right? Have your radio settings
like
changed?
a setup station to check that?
Yep.
Or you can use like an RPM camber or toe gauge.
Talking about setup station, we do also offer the service of you bring your 2- or 4-wheel drive buggy or your short course in, and we can put it on the setup station. Make sure that car is square. Make sure it turns the same left versus right. Little things like that will definitely add up to a really solid car. And it might not drive any better, but it's going to give you the feeling that it's doing the exact same thing all the time.
Exactly.
And as Chris said,
predictable.
And consistent. That's the one thing with racing that people forget. Like you might be able to like compensate driving wise, but it's consistently going to be the same all the time. So that's going to be the goal with racing. So we're going to show you some tips and tricks that I do. I mean, Chris doesn't race.
No.
He tried it and he said this racing thing isn't for me.
But I mean, I do change the oil in my shocks often.
Yeah.
I service the diffs and UDR and stuff very often. I'm always doing maintenance.
Maintenance is big. But yeah, we're going to talk about some tips and tricks, so stay tuned for those. So talking about doing diff maintenance and things like that, so not only do you want to check inside the cup and make sure all your spiders are good and everything turns free, you also want to check inside. So there's going to be this beauty. So there's 2 crown gears in here. So that one, side gears, and then there's 4 spider gears, which are those guys. And there's also a side gear on the bottom. One thing you also want to check though is going to be these gaskets. So these gaskets go on there, lock so, and then you go like this. Boop, put that on top. So the issue is though, I was noticing that on my EB410, which this is what I'm working on right now, the diff was kind of leaking out of the bottom screw holes. And on the Techno, these screw holes go all the way through the diff case. So those are the screws that actually attach either the ring gear, or in this case, this is a center diff, so the spur gear to the diff case. But as you can see, this is actually broken. So it's split. Right there. It's split. It's not attached anymore. So the issue is the diff oil can actually seep through those brakes, through the screw hole, and out of the bottom of the diff. So this is always something you want to check. Make sure even these seals are good. This seal is actually pretty flimsy, and it is oil soaked. So definitely time to replace it. You can always buy them in a pack. This is a Techno pack. You get 3 of them. They're like $6. So always make sure when you're doing your diffs, not just to check the state of the gears, also check the state of the seals, whether that's the O-rings in the cup, O-rings in the center diff, spur, ring gear, and these seals. These seals are 90% of the issue when your diff's leaking. So make sure you check them seals. So now that I got the new seals, it's like, okay, sweet, awesome. Put the new seal in there with a little bit of black grease on the seal face to the ring gear, or in this case, spur gear face, and we're gonna have a good seal there. But then it's like, oh dang, what did I run for diff oil? That's where good notes come in handy. So boom, center diff, 10K. These sheets you can download from Techno, Associated, Traxxas even has them. Download these sheets and fill it out. You need to know what shock oil you're running, diff oils, things like that. It's a great reminder. Usually I put some sort of writing on here, but it was half worn off because the diff was leaking. So if you want to keep better notes than just writing on here what the first time you put your diff oil in, say like in this case 10K, make sure you keep good solid notes. If this was to ever change, you'd cross it out, change it with something different. Make sure you keep up to date on all of your notes, and that's why I have this awesome binder. We talked about this before, but I cannot stress this one enough. This is like the biggest pro tip I could give anybody, is keeping solid notes and making sure that you keep your race program on track, and never second guess yourself. If I was to build this to the kit setup, it's actually 15,000 in the center, and the car doesn't handle as good. So make sure you keep up to date on your notes and make sure you have these filled out properly. Okay, so we're talking about some bad bearings. So I have one here. So this is the rear pinion bearing on the EB410. So this is the issue, and this is how you know you have a bad bearing. So now with this bearing, I hold it in my hand, you can see how much movement it has. It's pretty crazy. It moves up and down quite a bit, and I can wiggle it quite a bit on this end. So this is the issue. So if you don't check your bearings, you can see how much that physically moves. Like it's quite ridiculous. So this is what we check when we were talking about bearings before, and this is what we always want to check about, because if we don't check this bearing and we continue to run this, now what's going to happen is this pinion's going to be going up and down and being able to move around quite a significant amount inside that rear diff housing, and eventually what's going to happen is this little bearing right here, it's going to end our race. So we're going to have a pinion bearing or a ring gear failure because this bearing's flopping around so much. Also, the thing that's going to happen is this ring gear is going to be able to actually physically come closer and go away from the ring gear. So we want to make sure that this pinion is going to be in contact as much as possible. We spend all that time shimming the diff and making sure that our gear backlash from this ring and the pinion are correct. So why would you put a bad sloppy bearing in there and causing you a failure when you spend all that time checking and making sure your ring gear pinion mesh is correct? So just another pro tip, something that could cause a failure on a race day, we're changing that out. No bueno. So the next thing that's kind of crucial, especially into how the suspension performs and continues to perform, is going to be the inner hinge pins. So these will ride on the inside of the AR, just like this. So the biggest thing that we want to make sure is always make sure that they're flat. So if you're rolling on a flat surface, you shouldn't see any daylight, which that one doesn't show us any daylight. So you got two straight hinge pins. But the other thing that we want to do is make sure that it moves. So you want to be able to pick the A-arm up and just let it kind of float like that. It should be able to move nice and free. But if you have one that's sticky, like this one is, get that in there. Yeah, a little bit of a struggle here. You can hear it, it's pretty gritty. But this one doesn't move. So this is going to be a crucial part in keeping your suspension moving free. So a lot of people come to me and say, hey, I need a heavier spring rate. My car isn't coming back up to like level arms. It's staying like drooped up, and my ride height's really off. This is the first place to look. You can hear it. It's pretty gritty when you move the pin in the arm. So this is definitely something you want to check. So there's two things that we do with these hinge pins. So A, check that they're straight. A, check that they're clean. So what we'll do is we'll actually take this and give it a good polish. As you can see, it's kind of faded and not very nice looking. So we're going to give that a good polish. Next thing you can do is ream your arm. And that's it on this one. Just gave it a quick little ream. We sell those at the shop, arm reamers. And you get them in multiple different sizes. So now we want the suspension to go like that. So make sure that your hinge pins are A, straight, B, clean, and your arms are clean and full of goodness. If you're full of debris, you're going slow. Chris,
Yeah.
is that a new Proline 69 over body?
It sure as heck is.
You painted it.
I sure did.
So on the last episode, 86, if you didn't check that out,
Yep.
Chris cut out this brand new Proline 69 Nova body.
Yes.
And put it on
spins
his
really well on there.
His ceramic bearing in there.
Yeah.
Talk about bearings. Yeah, so there's the difference between a ceramic and a steel bearing right there. So anyway, we painted it up. So how did you paint this body? As you can see, it color changes.
Yeah, so I used the Tamiya translucent pink gold. I used to put a whole can of that on there, and then I backed it with the light gunmetal, their new paint, and that worked really nice.
So as you can see, as the car spins a little bit, it looks sometimes
Color
green,
changes,
and then it looks gold or pink. So yeah, it's kind of a neat scheme, and it's something really different. I know you do this on most of your cars.
Yeah, lately, yeah.
Chris used to be a guy that only did red.
Yeah.
That was his thing, red. Had to be red.
Now I've been getting into the color shift thing,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. You know, the Rolling Stones ain't got nothing on I Want to Paint It Red. But there you go.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. So when are you going to buy wheels and tires for it?
Maybe this week.
Because it's missing some Hoosier tires.
Yeah, we got some in stock still.
Yeah.
Ooh, darn.
So there you go.
Sitting on something this week.
But dang, that was good. I really like that body. I really like that color.
Once I get tires put on it, then I can start setting up my suspension.
I'm really glad that you didn't paint it black.
Yeah.
Because that's what we kind of talked about in last
Everyone
episode
wants
too.
to be black.
Yeah, everyone wants to go against the Murder Nova.
I almost wanted to do it like an orange, like the GTO Judge. That would be cool.
So what are you gonna call it? Every drag car's gotta have a name.
Becky.
And on that note, let's just end it. I'm over it. I'm over it.
Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Check us out on Facebook, on
Instagram.
on the Instagram,
And Snapchat.
and the Snapchat at Ultra RC Hobbies. Check me out, RC Deeps. I'm on Instagram. I'm also on the Facebook, and there's the YouTube thing too.
Yeah, it's a thing. It's definitely
It's
a
a
thing.
thing.
So, I guess talking
have a
about
website.
maintenance-
You can do the website.
Yeah, you can. Oh, I almost forgot about the website. Sales. Or no, it's not sales.
Sales.
That's our
Sales
email.
at ultrarchhobbies.com.
Is
if
our
you want
email.
to email us.
Yeah. Our website's www.ultrarchhobbies.com. You really got me shook with the whole Becky thing. I can't even. Like I'm just rattled, I'm jazzled.
Oh,
But talking about maintenance, we're gonna throw a question at you guys and girls.
Yes.
What is the most common thing to get maintained on your vehicle?
Yeah.
And why do you particularly look at that item as being most important?
Personally, for me, on my UDR, the highest maintained piece will be the rear planetaries.
Yeah.
So almost like every 2 to 3 packs, I'll pull the rear planetaries out, take them apart, re-grease them, inspect them, put them back together, just to make sure they're not blown up or the bearings aren't gone.
Yeah, for me, the most maintained thing on my Nitro, since we'll throw a Nitro personality and point of view in there. The most maintained thing on my Nitro is going to be clutching.
Yeah.
So clutch shoes,
bearings
clutch
and
springs,
clutch
bearings,
Yep.
and also the inside of the clutch belt. A lot of people don't
Sand
know
out.
that you should, sand out the inside of your clutch belt to get any aluminum that could be stuck on there and causing the clutch to snag funny and possibly flame out. Clutch bearings for sure. They go bad pretty quick. And the shoes tend to mushroom and fold over, so they can kind of get stuck, and you could have a sticky clutch. So you file them down.
Remember, sticky clutch ain't good for much.
Hey, that's pretty good.
I was gonna say wobbly clutch, but I mean like you said sticky last.
It's not warbly,
So like
but it's not warbly.
bad bearings will make it wobbly.
True, but your bearings have to be pretty bad for it to be warbly.
If you got bad bearings, that's better go be wearing.
You are a punny fella. Very punny.
Oh man, I'm sick.
But on that
I'm
note,
losing my mind.
thank you so much for tuning in to episode 87 of the Ultra C Hobby Show. We really do appreciate it. And we'll catch you on the next one.
Bye.
You go home, sickie. That's how you really feel? That was actually pretty close.